Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. It is always good to see husband and wife teams setting goals and working towards them. Amanda and Engel Jones are launching a Caribbean couple's journey to self-discovery, Volume 1. We are here for it, and they join us just ahead of that launch. I want to say welcome to you both. Now, Amanda, you would have picked up a pen through your experience as a registered nurse. I want you to describe what it was that actually brought you to that point that you are an author, speaker, etc., etc. Thank you.
Thanks. Actually, the love for writing was it was always something I did, but as part of our teaching process as a nurse, I wrote poems to simplify topics for my patients, and I wrote poems to give them the simplified version of a health condition that they may be affected by. It used to be things like glaucoma, cataract, and so forth. Diabetes was a big topic as well, and I really got into that when I had a personal experience with a friend who was actually affected by it. And the writing just continued from there. And I must say, it has always been my cheerleader here, Angel, who said, this has to go in a book. And, the journey just started from there and it has continued ever since until the point where I transitioned from a full-time nurse into being an author.
Look at you. Thank you so much for that. And I want to talk to the cheerleader a little bit now. Mr. Angel, now, I first heard about you through someone who said that you helped him to organize their life in a few fundamental ways. And now we're hearing Amanda saying, okay, well, those words of affirmation, that encouragement would have allowed her to the courage and the wherewithal to make some of those strides as well. But tell me about you, thank you, in terms of how do you use words to affect people as a podcaster turned author? Thank you.
Well, I must say thank you first for the opportunity for being here. I think it's an honor after seeing your interview style. It's been very intentional to have this be the first interview we do together with you, Dike. I think you really dig deep into how you ask questions and you take your trade seriously, as we would say in country. I think my words, I've learned how to use less words. And that took a lot because I thought filling every space when it came to the podcast in the beginning stages was what my job was. Over time, though, listening over to the episodes I recorded, I realized that it was important to ask the question and shut up. Have you had a similar, well, let me not do that. So I'm doing you the podcasting thing, right? I'm about to ask the question of you, right? But I've learned that it's so important to listen. So I believe the podcast and the journey of interviewing thousands of people on the podcast has helped me to listen more than anything else, which I believe is very important.
Yeah, there are a lot of times we sometimes you're listening to respond as opposed to hearing what the individual has to say. But what I want to hear from you, though, is that this choice to say, okay, yes, it's one thing, you have your individual pursuits, but the choice to have this collaborative effort. Who was the person who said, let's do this together?
So I thought it was necessary for us to do this together. And Amanda is truly an amazing writer. She has the ability to simplify a lot of things and make it into, again, with her rhyming poem format. It's nothing new under the sun, Everyone knows Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall and Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And that in itself is an art form that helps us remember things. I thought it was necessary for us to combine because we aren't given enough examples or mentors of in the form of the Caribbean couple, the Caribbean person. I've listened to a ton of books. I've also, as you mentioned, interviewed people on my podcast. And one of the things that I didn't recognize is the stories that we are familiar with in elements of business or coaching or elements of entrepreneurship. It's just not, it's non-existent. Like it's not something that I see. So I thought it would be really cool if, first of all, we achieved goals. And then after achieving goals, open the door for what we understand is to help others pursue excellence. So our concept through the book, it's really to create a conversation that that doesn't, it's not, it's not very abrasive in how we're teaching elements that we believe are important for an individual to discover themselves, what we consider or what we call discover yours. And again, the acronym, I use acronyms as much as Amanda uses poems. The yours there represents your own unique real self. So again, the strategy here is that we would begin to open the conversation for other individuals to understand who they are.
And I thank you for that. But Amanda, let me ask you this question now, because it's one thing, okay, well, yes, you have a cheerleader when you're doing your own thing. But what kind of response were you giving Engel when he said, let's do this together? And especially if you are, you know, sometimes you might be working on discovering your own voice, your unique voice, according to Engel, your own unique real self. And you're discovering, okay, well, this is who I am. But then that combination might be a little different. So when you initially broached the topic to you, Amanda, what was your response like?
Well, Angel is a guy who he's never short of ideas. So I've learned to take each with a bit of salt. You know, just consider it, approach it with caution. And when he writes, because in the early stages of our relationship, he wrote poems upon poems about poems. And it was just us at this point in collaboration. And I think us coming together, I wasn't hesitant because I was more of a, while he does his coaching, I would write things on topic that he would teach to more or less to support what he is teaching. And as a result of that, we both came to this point where we decided we should share our story in terms of us as a couple setting goals, reaching them, and we just wanted to tell the story. So a lot of the writing you will see there, it's as they say, inspired by true story. And this is the early stages of Amanda and Angel in the books that you will see. And it's not the Angel and Amanda that everyone knows now. Well, not the Angel everybody knows now. It's but I don't want to let too much out. But storytelling is very important. Somebody always know a tanty or an auntie or an uncle who said something through story, and it really resonates. So definitely we have used that platform to tell a story, but actually have teaching through it.
And looking at that teaching, we're actually going to take a small pause now before we get back into it. We are speaking, I don't want to call it Idea Banton, but we are speaking with Amanda and Engel Jones about a Caribbean couple's journey towards self-discovery. Stay with us. We'll return with more after this. Welcome back. We are speaking with, and I call them a power couple, Amanda and Engel Jones, looking at a Caribbean couple's journey to self-discovery. But there is something that I'll pick pieces from what you said previously. Amanda saying, okay, well, we are going to share this story many times and inspired by true stories. And also looking at that word that you would have used, and Angel, intention. Sometimes we think that our stories are not necessarily worthy. Who am I to tell people how they might be able to do what it is they're doing? Is that something that you had to deal with, that you spoke to, that you had to investigate within yourself, that intention to say, okay, well, this is something that we're doing and we think this is worthy of sharing, so that people can have a little idea of what might help them?
That's good. Like writing the stories with Amanda really helped bring clarity to what was my intention at the point in time that brought me to the place that gave me the results based on my choice. The consequences, if you would, that we had to bear. Our intentions as humans, without wanting to be specific about it, means that we are specific about it. It's the understanding, for example, of, like good enough being the enemy of great enough. And I think that really hits home because when I entered secondary school, as much as primary school had with it its fair share of intentionality when it comes to studying, to be able to become the person who comes out first in tests, I hit secondary school and it was an entirely different world that I faced. And my intention was to fit in. My intention was to be cool. And as a result of my intention, I bore consequences in my life. And that so it's been a reverse engineering going through the process of writing the story and realizing how important our choices are in life. Now, it's one thing for me to say that, it's another thing for someone to read it. And our goal is that as they read, it then activates the memory that that person would have had. So they can then define the elements that we share, which is when you make a choice, as we grew up learning, right? Remember, your choices have consequences. And but the truth is consequences isn't a bad word. It's truly a neutral word, right? Like if I plant a seed, the consequence would be it usually turns into a plant, which we know the rest of, right? So it's really this concept that we are attempting to share in our writing, and that is the intention.
Do you have almost like a totem pole for them, or a hierarchy? If I were to say choices, consequences, results, intentions, is there anyone that is above anything, or do you treat all of them at the same time, Angel?
That's again a great question. I think choices for me is the thing that I initially really got tied to, in terms of, yeah, if I could make good choices, then I could probably end up with the results of my intention being good. But you're so, again, such of a good interviewer, right? The intention for me is the thing I take away today. So instead of making a choice based on what is the result, I usually stop now and breathe and ask, what is my intention in this? And then move forward to my choice. So I would say for me, currently, the hierarchical topper would be intention.
Okay, and I feel that resonates with me, because people like to say the same tanty or older person, aunt, uncle that you all are referencing. Many times people say, the road to hell paved with good intentions. So those intentions informing the choices, which can lead to everything else after. But Amanda, let me ask the question though, because I see, apart from just saying, okay, well, there's this book that you want people to read, there is a theater aspect of it. So in terms of the power of theater meeting the depth of literature, what is that about?
Well, we are having a play and it's based on the first book because this is a 12-book series, and the first book is Understanding Who You Are. And the group that is doing it is Splinters for Education and Performance. We've done 2 book launches before, and they were excellent in terms of delivering the message. And those 2 were books which I previously published. They were based on diabetes, and the first one was on things health related and nursing. But it's a really nice, it's a wonderful way to bring across a message. You take it out of the book, the things come to life on stage. So it adds a different element, and it's our goal is to make like to reawaken reading, like the want or the desire for reading, because we know a lot of there is a great number of people who are not avid readers, but we're trying to bridge that gap. So hopefully the theater aspect of it with literature will help us with that.
And you're saying that, and I'm smiling because I have someone who is into education, and they're also in theater, and they talk about bringing things from the page to the stage, and that is something that they do on a very regular sort of consistent way. And it's really interesting the way that sometimes something leaps from the page to the stage, and you say, hey, I didn't think about it this way. Hey, I didn't think about it this way. And it helps to bring that point home in a manner that you may not have thought possible when you're just looking at that black and white. It brings it alive. But in terms of that understanding who you are, how important is it to you and what you do to help bridge that gap that you were just speaking about, for individuals to understand who they are, to be able to step forward in their beauty, their power, what have you?
All right. So as within the book, our stories are parallel. However, Angel's version of that life lived was quite different from mine. And you could see the young Amanda who had intentions, and as a result of that, but this is more on the, I would say, rather the positive aspect. I stuck to certain things because, my parents was the books before boys, you have to get your education, and those were things that I didn't compromise with. However, in Angel's version of the story, you will come to see that even though he had that, he was influenced in such a way that his intentions really got, what I say, messed up. I don't want to say it too harshly, but young part of his life. So it's about knowing, all right, your cultural beliefs, what are your values, your morals, and just knowing it and owning it. What you believe. And there are a lot of influences that could take us many different ways, but just embracing that as who you are. Yes, I was the girl who was in the library all the time. And that's okay if you are that person. But I owned it. And that's what we
Embracing
want
yourself,
the young ones to do.
and owning it. But looking at the time, and Angela, if your wife can't say that, nobody can say that. Huh? So, but we know that it is happening, Southern Academy for the Performing Arts, on the 17th of August at 7 p.m. But in terms of getting onto your website where individuals can get tickets or just find out more about the work that you're doing, give us that information and wrap it up first, please, Angela.
Friend, that this first understanding who you are is really part of a block that represents identity, and then forwards with personality, and then self-esteem, and then affirmations that really builds this block, right? So this is really the beginning element. If you want to contact us, like 346-8616 is the number. We're on WhatsApp. It's the best way to go. Everything else is so long. But if you can, it is amazelenterprise.com. You could put engeljones.com in there. There's self-publisheasily.com. But the best place is to simply message us on WhatsApp. or give us, I don't want to say give us a call, right? But like just WhatsApp us on 346-8616.
Thank you so much, because sometimes people want to call some kind of hours. Wow. But Amanda and Engel Jones, thank you very much. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for joining us.